agreeing to do this today, because I know you kind of have like a busy day. But like, do you have to be there that early for sound check? I mean, or can you just kind of show up tonight? Like,
I do feel a little guilt of just showing up right when doors open. I do have something that I have some chords for one of the artists tonight, so I will be there a little bit early. So I
sure,
do have a
sure.
purpose. So I do feel a little bit better. I'm not just rolling it. Oh, hey everybody. Like, no,
You're
I have
like
a purpose.
you're like the band's vocalist tonight, just kind of like, yeah, no, yeah, we can't. Surely we can't get things started without me.
Thanks for waiting for me, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I mean, thank you for doing this
Yeah.
today. I'm glad we could do this either this week or last, just because I definitely want to talk about this because this is exciting. Um, but after the Rank Strangers, it's like right gonna be at the time where I'm just gonna be kind of like reading off the calendar. So like we'll get into the details of tonight. I think like when we're on the internet, but we're not on like the radio just yet. Um, but that's gonna happen in like 1 minute, so we can kind of
Countdown.
start there. Um, Other than that, let's see. I did manage to get 30 tunes on here. We're like halfway. I don't know if we'll be able to get all of them, but I don't know, because like we got like halfway through in 1 hour. Maybe we'll see. But I talk a lot, so we'll see what we can get out of the next 58 minutes. Um, but definitely want to talk about the show, but also talk about like the records, like which records you thought. I don't know how much of the show you've caught so far. Like, if there's anything in the back. Whoa, that mic's still there. Like in the back hour you want to talk about. Um, but I do want to like actually talk about the records that came out this year. But stand by. Okay, so new Rank Strangers, they also came on the show, and new Cat Bath, the final chapter of Cat Bath, great band, who also released a record that I think a lot of people kind of forgot about, which is unfortunate because it's a good record. You should check it out. So also scrunchies at the top of that set. Speaking of local music, let's talk about the last local shows of the year. So if you're in Minneapolis, where we're broadcasting here at KFAI, 90.3 FM. If you're in the Twin Cities and worldwide at kfai.org, Fresh Air Community Radio, you can see the following shows tonight, this weekend, and beyond. Starting with the final Whiskey Rock and Roll Club residency show at Mortimer's. This is going to feature High on Stress. The Bad Plus are also going to conclude their annual residency at the Dakota tonight. And MSP Sound 5-year anniversary show at 7th Street Entry, but we're actually with Krista Wax right now. So if you've been joining us earlier, you're already ahead of the game. But let me finish the calendar, and then I'll let Krista talk about the show, because she can do that way better than I can. Tomorrow, Taylor James Donsky, single release show at the 331 Club. Friday, Purple Funk Metropolis will be at Ice House. And also Friday, Hot Freaks with Sam Cassidy and the Good Time Gals at the Fine Line. Of course, Saturday, there is a lot going on with New Year's Eve. And, well, there's always a lot going on New Year's Eve. So one of the shows you can see in the New Year's Eve gauntlet is Frog Leg with Jaden James at the Fine Line. We also have the Honky Tonk New Year's Eve at the Turf Club. Molly Brandt, Turn, and Cold Diamond are going to be there. We also have a more ska punk inspired evening at Day Block Brewing. The Upstairs show for their New Year's Eve show. This is going to have Space Monkey Mafia, Alien Book Club, Blue Driver, and Rigby. Sunday, Charlie Parr is going to kick off his January residency at the Turf Club, and he's going to be there every Sunday in January, kicking the new year off right. Looking ahead, we also have the Cactus Blossoms doing every Monday night at the Turf Club in January. So you think I missed something, or you just want to hear me mispronounce your band name on the air, email it to desertislandskfai@gmail.com, all one word. I curate all the segments I do with the local calendar from the stuff you send me. So please keep sending me stuff. Also, please keep sending me music. If you sent me a record that we didn't have time for either today or this year, don't worry, because this show's kind of different. I kind of arrange it by the flow of all the tracks that work with it. So please don't get discouraged. Please keep sending me stuff. We might find it if it fits with the vibe of the playlist. So speaking of curating things, I am talking with our own Krista Wax. And speaking of traditions, this has kind of become a little bit of a tradition. You and I, you come back on my show to talk about the best local records of the year. And then on your show, you just talk about your favorite local music that you hear. And I think you do an excellent job of finding the stuff that I think people haven't quite caught on yet, or just isn't on the radar of a lot of people yet. But not only that, you also do the critical work of finding established artists that have kind of been killing it for years. And I feel like a lot of times you're like the only one talking about them. And I feel like tonight's lineup at the 7th Street entry is a little bit of both. You have some young up and comers, but you also have some artists that have been quite accomplished in their own right and have been doing so for years in the Twin Cities. And also, I believe Illism is like kind of straddling the West Coast at this point too, as well. But like you have a good balance of some artists that have kind of been killing it for years and haven't gotten the credit for it, in my opinion. So like, good job curating this event. But can you talk about who is playing tonight and how you decided to pick these bands to honor 5 years of MSP sound here on KFAI?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I would love to. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I
Thanks for
love this
coming back.
tradition. It's so much fun. I think this may have been the only time we saw each other this past year.
I know, which is no, I don't think that's true. But it's always when we're working, and it's always at events we're both working for like 5 minutes. I think that's a good problem to have sometimes, but it's not the greatest for socialization. But I think we've kind of been dealing with that the past couple years. So thank you for coming back. If all else fails, we always have these vid chats. But this show is tonight, so let's talk about it. Because usually I try to get ahead of the game, but this is like tonight.
Yeah, a few hours. I don't know if we were talking off mic. I'm gonna be there a little early for sound check for some of it.
Yeah.
Not rolling in 8:00 when it starts. Hey.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I am so excited about this show and this lineup. I just can't believe it. So of Illism, Seymour Perspective, Slavana, Philip St. John, and a special performance by Sam Castillo. So yes, like what you were saying, Seymour Perspective and Illism, they've been killing it around the city for years. They're amazing and incredible. And they've done a lot with KFAI as well. So love them. All those artists, I've had all of them on my show at least once, maybe more than that. And I like, especially Illism, I just had so much fun getting to know them. They were kind of one of the first bands I interviewed. When I started interviewing bands, it was probably like a year into the show. I'm like, maybe I should have guests. Maybe since I'm local, let's do that. So to see them and their career grow, and now that they're doing the legacy building, tour of it. I mean, I just got a tour of it Monday, and just the work that they're doing with the community is incredible. So I'm so excited that they're part of it. Seymour Perspective. I mean, what can I say? Amazing.
Right.
Amazing, so creative, just always working on so many things, and
Yeah.
I've had them on my show a couple times, and we're just recently on a couple weeks ago talking about another event that was going on, hip hop and classical music put together.
Yeah.
What? And
Yeah.
even while we were talking, just creativity is just constantly flowing through Seymour Perspective. I wish I should have just, like, tried to put my hand on their shoulder just to try to get a little creativity out of it because it
Yeah.
can I plug in, please? 'Cause
Tap in
just idea, yes, like Matrix
vicariously
style.
to the
Yes,
energy flow.
yes. It's incredible, but yeah, and Slavana, lovely, amazing pop. We have Philip St. John, hip hop, and then Sam Castillo, more pop. I'm just excited that it's such a great combo of pop and hip hop, which we don't
Mhm.
I mean, we get a lot some of those combos, but, like, with rock or it's always a lot of rock shows.
Right.
I love rock,
Yeah,
but,
of
you
course.
know, it's great. But, uh, really excited that this is just, like, hip hop and pop and just some of our
Yeah.
most creative local artists coming together, and I think a lot of them, they're meeting each other for the first time tonight.
Yeah.
So, I'm just really excited about what this how this is, I'm just excited to be part of it. I can't believe my name's on it.
Yeah, and 5 years of your name being on it too. This is like 5 years of MSP Sound, which is I mean, it is hard to do 1 year of anything, let alone 5. So congratulations, and, it's it it's amazing. It's gonna be a great night. But let's get back to the mixtape
Yes.
because I don't know if I'm gonna have time to play all of the records. I think we got about a list of 30,
Nice
and
of you to say.
I think we're at, like, 17 right now, so maybe, possibly, but realistically, no. And if we don't get to all of it, I will be posting a link to the Spotify playlist of all the records, that we did not get a chance to talk about or play. But let's actually play some records. And this is why I love having you on the show because you dig up records that, like, bands I like know, like bands I'm friends with that I honestly did not even realize they released a record this year. Like Black Widows. I like Black Widows are great and they do so much in the community. I totally spaced on the fact that they dropped a single this year. Bathtub Sig.
Yes.
And speaking of someone who has done a lot of stuff in the scene that is now coming back to the forefront a little bit, let's kick off this next set with Cindy Lawson here
Yay.
on Desert Islands. Okay, you can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna turn this down just because. Hold on. There we go. There we go. It's like every time I press a button, I feel like I'm gonna lose something, and then it's just like, or another mic is accidentally on. It's like always, that's always like what's going on. Yeah, I had no idea Black Widow's released something this year, which is like kind of exciting for me because I just feel like everyone in that band is one of those people in the scene that like is secretly helping the scene like work and actually do stuff, which like you need that in any scene, but I always appreciate when those bands actually release music because it's just like, like that's what they do, right? Like I think a lot of those bands that do stuff like that, like they're kind of like taken for granted in a weird way because like they're just ever present. So when they do release music, people kind of forget to like champion it because it's just like, oh yeah, well they're like if they're not at all the gigs, they're helping like promote gigs or help like promote like or just help get gigs running or stay running. That I think sometimes it's hard to kind of stop and look around and see who's releasing music because I had no idea.
I love this track. I mean, it's great. I know they're about to go back in and write some more music, and that's
Yeah,
what their plan is for the winter. But you're right, they do so much for the community, and it's incredible. It's what I mean. Not only are they a great band, but they also just do so much that
yeah, oh yeah. Like if it's not just like actually like letting the scene run, there's a lot of like activism and outreach work that I know Corinne does, but like really all of them are involved with like a lot of stuff, especially like getting younger artists to kind of like start and do stuff. We do have some she-rock artists on here because I do think there is kind of like a, I don't know, there's like this like education, uh and I've talked with Kiss the Tiger about this, and recently Colin Bracewell about this, about how like there is a theater kid to rock and roll pipeline that I feel like the creative industry doesn't want to talk about.
that's true. That's true.
And because of that, there's actually a lot of like educational music networks. And like there's like it's almost like SNL and Second City. It's just like there's School of Rock kids, there's She Rock kids, there's St. Paul Conservatory of Music kids. I know there's like McPhail kids. So it's kind of cool seeing a lot of these artists kind of come out of these systems. A few years back, we were getting a lot of School of Rock kids. We have some of them on this list with like Keep It Cheap, but also like Ev, She Rock. We also have some people who like instruct at She Rock on this list. It's like I don't know. I appreciate all the little things that people do in the nooks and crannies of this scene, because it's like I think people just kind of assume local music just happens anyway, and it's just like, no, it's it's really like 5 people who are doing all the work that no one wants to do, and then like,
Yes. Yes. No, I'm glad you're bringing up those points because, yeah, I'm definitely plugged into the she-rock scene, but I forget about like the School of Rock. And I know you've mentioned a lot of bands that have come out of there and just all these
yeah,
different outlets. I mean, other cities, I mean, we're obviously the best at it, but some of the other cities might have something similar.
yeah, yeah.
Cities outside Minnesota. I'm not dissing anything in Minnesota. Other states. There's
Yeah. Well, it's we've been seeing like it's almost like a tradition in the local scene anyway, like for like local media to kind of like find these younger bands, but like I think because of these educational outlets, it's why we have these younger bands, because like it's not just about like the spirit and the ideas. I think there's always that in every city. Like there's just there's this energy and you need an outlet to do with it. There's also the execution, and like a lot of these artists are like coming out swinging, because like it's not just that they want to form their own band and put their voice in the world. It's like they're coming out with chops, like some of these kids can really play, and it's exciting to watch. um and it's not like some kind of like charity case thing where it's like, and then the kids bands. It's like, no, there's like these kids can already kind of play play circles around some most of the adults in the scene.
well, I know. I mean, I know you had Natalie Fiddler on earlier this year. I had
Great, yeah,
fantastic. I had Natalie on a few years ago, and just at that point, she said, "Oh yeah, I've been playing for 10 years." Like, but
yeah,
what do you mean? And I played, and like her first EP, she was like, "Yeah, I played every instrument." I'm like, "You
yeah,
did the Prince? You did the Prince move?
yeah,
Why
yeah,
are we talking
yeah.
more about this? This is incredible." So,
She plays drums with a lot of bands in towns too. Like she's
yeah,
in a lot of people's bands. Like I don't think people realize how busy Natalie actually is. Like
right.
it's not just her music. It's the same with Zach Baker, who also is
Oh yeah.
kind of one of those players that plays with a lot of other people. as well. Same with Bathtub Sig, who's playing right now. Like, I know that's like We Are the Willows family, but also, you know, like, remember, Fiji 19, or
Oh
I might be getting the number wrong, but that was a really good band too.
PG-13. I think
That PG 13. Yeah. That was a really good band as well.
definitely. Oh yeah. Fun little flashback.
Well, and I think it's also kind of fun to do these shows too, because like I will sometimes miss when I forgot about, like, I could have sworn Rank Strangers was 2021, but like seeing like these lists and just kind of remembering like, all right, that was this year, or like just like getting that straight is its own thing to juggle, which is kind of fun to see. But also, like, you can kind of track the evolution of like, oh yeah, these people formed this band because they were literally, you know, friends with these bands, and then when those bands dissolved, like, I feel like those bands kind of came together and formed their own band, which is like, that's kind of fun for me to watch. But yeah, stand by, because we're going to come back on the air. Natalie's going to be in the next set, so that kind of works out. We can talk about that. And then, yeah, like 15 seconds. So stand by. Bathtub Sig, I Want to Believe. We also had new Black Widows and new Cindy Lawson. Today on Desert Islands, making a mixtape with Krista Wax about the best local music that came out of Minnesota in the year 2022. And we were just kind of talking about how it's fun to track all these artists, not only these projects, but like their side projects as well. And a lot of this kind of comes from the Sharks and the Jets moments we've had from the School of Rock kids and the She Rock community. But there is some overlap. Like, I know for a fact some people have taught at both, so it's just like another reason how this community kind of, how the mincest happens. Like, everyone kind of knows each other and everyone kind of plays in each other's bands. And no more apparent than this next set, because we have Mad Mojo Jet, which is like comprised of members who play in a lot of good bands already, and now they're kind of playing in all each other's bands in this one. We have Loser Magnet, who shares bills with a lot of people. And then we have Natalie Fiddler, who not only shares bills with a lot of people, plays in a lot of people's bands on every instrument. Like, I think she's like in several bands on a different instrument each time. Sometimes she's the bassist, sometimes she's the drummer, sometimes she's the lead guitarist. You know, so a lot of these musicians just are involved with a lot of different stuff, and it's kind of fascinating to watch. So who were your favorite musicians kind of in that vein to come out with records this year?
Oh wow. Oh geez. I was listening to the first hour. I gotta shout out Scrunchies. That
Right. Yeah, I love that record.
Maximum, that track. I mean, I was headbanging before I came on here. I was like, yes, this is perfect getting into it. But there's just so many great. You played Ev earlier. I love.
Oh yeah, another She Rock. Yeah.
Yes. Really looking forward to hearing more music from Ev in the future. So
Yeah.
got Ev, Natalie Fiddler. You know, they didn't put anything out this year, I don't think, but Vile was always, they're great.
Yeah.
And now getting off topic. See, not only did I send you a 4.5-hour playlist of 2020 releases, not only, let me talk about something that came out last year. No, Doc,
it's just hard to keep it together too. I'm also kind of glad that you bring up these bands, because like I feel like I double dip enough, because like I said earlier about bands like Black Widows, there are bands that just kind of are the glue to keep this scene running. Like a lot of the bands are also like running sound at these venues, or like booking, or like help promoting, or it really does take a village. But a lot of the bands are not just students of like She-Rock and School of Rock. A lot of the bands are instructors, and a lot of these bands that you've been mentioning are like former students of mine, which I don't want to like I don't want to feel like that I'm tipping the nepotism scale too much, but like it's I just only want to point out because I'm proud, because a lot of these kids, like, their career is bigger than mine at this point. Like, and it's awesome. It's awesome to watch. But they come from like the same schools, and it's just kind of weird and wild to watch them. You know, like Hippocampus came from the same system and blew up incredibly. So it's just kind of one of the things that makes this scene fun. And speaking of fun, 5-year anniversary party of MSP Sound. That is tonight at 7th Street Entry.
Yay.
Here on Desert Islands. I'm making a mixtape with Krista Wax about the best local music we heard this year. Let's keep going, shall we? Here's Mad Mojo Jet here on Desert Islands.
I love this album.
This was another record. I'm glad you had it on the list, because like I didn't realize they actually released this year. You know,
and it's January. So in all fairness, it was January.
That's true. Because it there is like one of those things where it's just like there'll be like a band that I'm like really into, and I like Dury was complicated for me this year, because I feel like I was playing their music before their music even came out. So like I feel like for me, like it was like a firmly, oh no, that came out last year. But like they were on a lot of people's lists this year. So it's just like, Austin, I'm not slighting you. I just, you know, to me, I thought your album came out in 2021. So it's like just disqualified from 2022. So it's another reason we got to have Krista on the show, because you need another set of eyes to be like, no, that came out in January.
Right. I remember listening to it, and I remember playing it then, talking about it. I know.
Yeah.
And could I remember probably any other month of any album release? Probably not. I don't know.
No. I'm glad people actually keep track and do those like listicles, because like there are a lot of records in the early part of the year that like kind of get forgotten, because there's a few haymakers that come like mid-year, and then like there's like some, you know, long-standing people that like have kind of been in the game a while. They wait towards the end of the year. And this is Mad Mojo Jet is just like one of the more fun live bands I think you'll see locally. So if you haven't seen that, you should check them out.
I took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say they're so fun live.
And it's like all that, every band all those folks are in. Like Joe Holland's, I don't think, in a bad band, and he's in like 8 of them.
Same with Monet. Monet's in like
every band Monet's in is awesome too. And is there someone else like affiliated with High Tiny Hairs, or I know some members sub in and out, and it's hard to say who's in what. And then Loser Magnet, they've been playing, like sharing a lot of bills with a lot of good local bands. Like Butter Boys, I feel like their album came out last year. This is another reason why I didn't really kind of put anything on this list, because I don't think they released anything this year. I think that was last year.
Gosh, I can't remember now. I know it. I mean, not only did we go through a pandemic, but it's really hard then to figure out when releases were coming out, and then sometimes songs
right
before the release, like, oh, maybe a new song comes out 2021, and then the album comes out.
And release cycles are so weird now, because like now, like a strategy will be like, okay, we have the record, we're just going to release each song on the record as a single, and then next year the record will come out similar to like the wet leg thing, where it's just like we've been hearing Che's Lounge for like a year and a half, and like that record didn't come out until technically this year. So like there is like that thing where like I don't actually technically know, like you would almost have to ask the artist publicist like when these records come out. Because yeah, releasing stuff is different now just because like artists kind of almost have to treat their records like a Netflix show. And it's just like, do we put the whole thing out immediately or do we like do it episodically? Because there's part of the algorithm that will kind of like not shut you down, but like it won't direct people organically to your stream if it's not like released in a certain way these days. It's just like kind of weird where it's like if you're releasing on a schedule, almost like you're a YouTuber, like you get more traffic shoved in your direction, and Spotify is kind of doing that now. So it's just like I don't know. I think the secret has always been the same. You just got to pay someone a lot of money.
Usually a good solution.
Yeah, like it's just like as much as like we don't want to talk about like, oh yeah, payola and like how that was a thing. It's just like it's still going on. Like we're witnessing that with like the heavy hitters because like I don't know. Like I'm not trying to make this sound like it's like some gigantic like Illuminati thing, because if that were the case, it would be a lot more organized, don't you think? You know, like I think it's just like gigantic piles of money competing against other gigantic piles of money, and I don't even mean like organizations or individuals. I literally mean like just a gigantic pile of money, which is sometimes like being rated by like these 4 major labels, and then like sometimes it'll, you know, like I I'm still not convinced that Charlie Puth's entire career is not a money laundering organization. You know, like I nothing against he is a talented cat and producer, but like I feel like every once in a while, like the industry just goes like, all right, we gotta launder some money, so we're just gonna pick someone, and 5 people on your label are gonna work with them, and then 5 people, and then we're gonna get, it's just like this is why like 8 people who like speak out against like specific crimes Chris Brown has done have like wound up on Chris Brown's album. Like, it's like there's like this whole thing in the industry of just like yeah, so like I don't think it's like an individual like, yes, if we just stop this person. It's just like, no, because it's a gigantic pile of money that like so many artists have like been involved with and so many organizations have been involved with, that it's just like, yeah, realistically a lot of the things that gets people hearing artists is payola, and just like people kind of going like, hey, we see that your record's charting pretty well. If you pay us a little bit more money, it'll chart even better. And it's not everything. I think it's marginal. Like because I don't think you can actually pay to get a hit, but you can definitely pay for recognition. Like, because at the end of the day, the music does have to be good. You can pay someone to like get people to like put this in front of an audience, but like the audience still has to respond to it, and I think like a lot of what we saw this year is because of the pandemic. A lot of local scene, usually it's like I feel like, oh, there's like a million new bands every year, and there still are a lot of new artists, but like I feel like a lot of what we saw this year was like established artists who've kind of been around a while, or maybe like new bands kind of like coming in with a solid sophomore effort. Like just bands that have been around a while, kind of showing you why they've been around a while. And I'm okay with that, because honestly, it's hard to form a new band in this industry, but it's hard to do one in the pandemic. And it's kind of nice to see some of these artists that like should be on these like year-end best lists, but like consistently get snubbed for some reason. Like some of these artists are just due to be talked about, and it's good to see them actually like clicking with a few things, because it's like a lot of the times the business is like, yeah, it's luck and it's out of your hands, and just because like your favorite band, or your band, if you are a musician watching this right now, like it's just like it a lot of times it has nothing to do with you, and it's like not a critique against the quality of your art as much as like it just hasn't had an opportunity for 10,000 people to hear it 10 times.
Right.
And that's like most of like what a lot of things is. It's just like, oh, I've heard this 10 times. I like this. I'm not mocking it. I'm guilty of it too. Like if you
Right.
if you play a catchy enough song, you're like, oh yeah, this band. I know this band. I like this band. This band's been kind of cool. Stand by, because we're okay. Natalie Fiddler, off of Three Man Army, which came out this year. Loser Magnet, which came out I think in January, February, March 2022. Spinatron says it came out this year. It counts.
That counts.
And of course, Mad Mojo Jet at the top of that set. If you're just tuning in, this is Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests, 10 records they bring to a desert island. And today I'm making one for Krista Wax, who is not only celebrating 5 years of her show MSP Sound on KFAI. Tonight, there's a party for that at the 7th Street entry. But this is just kind of something we've been doing, where every year we try to talk about our favorite local records that came out this year. And it as we've been talking about earlier, it's hard to keep track of it sometimes. We were kind of saying off mic, I think the scene is always kind of coming up with new bands because, well, during the winter you got to do something. But this year we kind of saw bands who've been around a while, or established bands, kind of showing you why they've been here a while and established. And that's been kind of cool, because there's been a few records from bands that like I think have always put out solid work, but they're now just starting to get traction for it. And that's really cool to see. So who were some of those bands that you thought have always been kind of releasing good work, that released work this year? Because for me, in this next set, that's Products and Lunch Duchess. Like for me, like they've always released solid material, but in recent years, I feel like a lot of the tastemakers have been like, "Have you heard about this new band?" I'm just like, "You mean the band you should have been talking about 5 years ago?" Yeah, they're great. Like,
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say Products for sure.
yeah.
They were incredible. I saw them one of their shows at the entry this year, and it was so incredible. And just the energy in the room and what they do on stage was just like just hit you in the face and was like, whoa.
Oh yeah. They've got great stage presence, but also great writing too. Like their songs are just so well constructed and arranged that their presence just kind of, definitely see Products if you haven't already.
Yes. And Sim 1. Love Sim 1.
Yeah.
Love that EP. Love it. I know you played it in the first hour. Love it. Paviel.
Yes.
Love some of these new tracks that are coming out. Love Sovereign. Loved Fear Not, I believe, which was the first album came out a while before that. But love to hear a new sound, and love that she was working with Laserbeak along with Lady Midnight. I'm really excited. That album, I think, is coming out next year, the new one. So I'm very excited about that one, and I love the new music that came out this past year from
Those
her.
are also 3 artists I feel like have found comfort in like who they are as artists, and they just keep digging in and going deeper with it.
Yes.
And not only are they getting more comfortable on stage, but just like putting that persona out into the world. You know, like, because Lady Midnight and Papiel have like consistently had that brand for a while, but they just keep getting better at it. And it was already good. And I feel like Sim One, especially so, like she's definitely like she's really hitting her stride with that persona. And I think everything she puts out just keeps sounding bigger and more like forceful and intimidating with like especially with the hyperpop sound. It's just been really exciting to watch. Like every year she just kind of gets better and like comes out with a video. It's like, oh, that's way cooler than the thing you did last year. That's way cooler than the thing you did last year. So it's like it has been really cool to watch. So yeah, we did actually play those bands in the first hour. So let's start talking about the bands. We mentioned beginning of this chat, if you're just tuning in, this is Desert Islands, and we're making a mixtape with Krista Wax of our own MSP sound about the best local records to come out of Minnesota in 2022. So here is Products with something off of I Think We've Arrived. This is I Think We Arrived. Yeah, Products is like one of those bands that I feel like they formed several years before the pandemic. And I remember being excited. I was like, oh, this is the band that's gonna, and I'm so glad they stuck around, because like they didn't start becoming like the talk of the town until recently, which is just like, and that was like so frustrating for me to watch. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, what about this band is not clicking? Like, like this band is like firing on all cylinders. Like they have, like their band name is cool. Their sound is unique. Each person on stage has their own personality that like kind of doesn't like they you can't look away from any of them, but no one really dominates the stage, you know. And yeah, the writing is clever, the musicianship is good, like just everything about that band was like, I was just like, so yeah, I'm glad they're here, but it's just like, yeah, I thought this should have been blowing up in like 2018, you know. So like I'm glad people are finally taking notice. And same with Lunch Duchess. Like I feel like that band has always been like kind of a step ahead of the curve, to the point where like everything they've released, I think maybe just it just goes over people's heads, you know, like it's like when they open for Deerhoof, that's a pretty good band to open for, because that's another band that's like completely formidable, but like not for everybody. I think that's kind of with Lunch Duchess. Like they are an amazing band, but like I think just not everybody gets them, which is unfortunate, because like they're really good. Go see them live. Go see them live. Yeah, you won't be disappointed.
No, I know. I love Lunch Duchess. I was so
Every
happy.
record,
New album. Yeah.
is great. Yeah. I'm trying to factor in how much time we have. Let's see. Because we're like I thought I was gonna have to cut something, but like we're gonna.
Are we gonna get it all? Are we running out of music?
Yeah. Well, we're not. I was expecting to cut like maybe 3 songs. We might have to cut like 6 or 7. We'll see. I got all the underwriting carts in and all that good stuff, which is which I was kind of worried about getting in.
Oh yeah.
But Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if we'll have time for like Lays and Low or the Violet Nines,
Mm.
or Keep for Cheap. Or I wanted to get Taylor James Donsky because I know he has a new single coming out like tomorrow. Um,
I love that the new single that just came out recently.
Sounds great. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm really excited for that new record. I think like he's really keyed into his sound too,
Definitely.
and like he's like really getting comfortable with like how to produce it and like just how to bring it forth. It's just like that record just sounds great. If you haven't heard it yet. But yeah, I just don't know if we'll have much time because up next is Lovely Dark, which is like
Mhm. Oh yeah.
it's not a terribly long track, but it's like 4 minutes. And and then after that, Lunch Duchess is another like 4 minute track. So we'll probably have time to do one more wrap up chat about the show. And then yeah, we might only have time for like so here's what's not on the list. We got Mother Banjo, Keep for Cheap, Taylor James Donsky, Lays and Low, Violent Nines. I don't know if we'll have time for any of it.
Love all those artists. Love all those tracks. I love
Yeah.
Lace and Lowe's First Avenue. I could not stop playing that.
They're a productive because I feel like they released a lot last year too, and the reason they
Yeah.
didn't release as much this year is because like they have like a wedding to plan, which like is
Oh,
just this all-consuming task,
right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they have more music for 2023 coming. Would not surprise me at all. Violet Nines have been like quietly like touring the country, and it seems like it's going well for them,
Yeah.
and they're another local artist. I feel like has been they've been hitting the ground running for a while. Like they've been really like pushing their product out into the world and like getting what they want out of it. And let's see, I definitely, yeah, Taylor is definitely releasing something next year. Don't know about I don't know. Next year is going to be interesting just because like even from like best new bands, like great lineup, but there's definitely some bands where I'm just like they're not really new.
I know. I was kind of wonder how they put that together.
Like yeah. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see uh what's going to be the best new bands after 2023 just because like it seems like we're kind of at a point where like we're running out of pandemic material.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that. I know, because like now what's gonna happen? Yeah, it'll be really interesting to map and see how things play out.
I want to see what the new bands are going to be because I definitely think what we're going to see is like solo artists keep on keeping on, but I think we might see some of those artists kind of do the Humbird thing and just kind of like end up forming this colossal band. It's just like every musician in this band is like a really multi-talented musician and songwriter in their own right, but like I think that's the next bands kind of coming up. And I'm excited for that, but I'm also excited to see where some of these bands have been kind of working and refining their sound, because like Taylor's one of those artists. He plays bass with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where his solo record goes out to, just because I feel like he plays with so many people, and he's such a good player. I just want to see where that outfit could go. And I think he's on a few festival lineups. I know Midwest hasn't been announced yet, but Big Turn has.
I know it was excited.
Are you gonna go? Are you going this year?
Oh, I'm going. I cannot wait.
Yeah. It's I think it's like my favorite one. Like just because there's something about how close together everything is that it's like, unlike Midwest Music Fest, you can't really catch 30 minutes of everybody because like you kind of have to plan a walking route because the town's a little bit bigger. Where like Big Turn, I feel like you actually can just like walk around and catch 30 minutes of everyone's set, and that's what makes it more fun for me anyway. But yeah, Big Turn is coming up, and we can talk about Big Turn all we want, but I definitely want to make sure we plug the show one more time.
Thank you.
But who are you excited about for the Big Turn lineup? Because there's a lot of artists where it's just like, whoa, I didn't realize they were still around. That's kind of cool. And then there's a lot of artists that I'm unfamiliar with, which is exciting for me.
I agree. Well, I mean, I love Lady Midnight, so I was really excited to see that she's part of the event.
Yeah.
Excited to see that you're there. The Orange Goodness is there.
They're always great. Yeah.
Oh, they're so incredible. Aside from that, I'm still trying to pour through that whole booklet and like where are people coming. It's fun to see Maria and the Coins are going to be part of it. When you're talking about Zach Baker earlier, and
right.
So there's just so it's just fun. I'm just excited. It's post-ish pandemic,
Yeah.
so to get back into that again is so fun, and I'm just looking forward to walking around, seeing who I can see. And then I'm always at this point of like, oh, well, I could see them back in town. Why am I waiting in line outside the Elks Lounge
it's
to
different.
get in?
It feels different. Like
it does.
I know. I like, as someone who helps put some of these events together, like there is that you want to get a bunch of new stuff, but also the reason these things stick around is because like you need something familiar that everyone wants to wait for, even though they've already seen it. Like it's just like I'm tired of fighting the current I'm swimming upstream, where it's just like it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, you know what? It's just, if people are having fun, and you kind of have to book those things and like kind of have this balance of like every year needs to be like it's hard to get kids to eat their vegetables, I guess, like like you kind of have to offer some chicken nuggets and then be like, all right, but make sure you see these 5 bands before before you go out to the one that I know you're going to see, and you like, and please go see that band. But like but I think part of the fun with these festivals is like you're out of town and there's a charm, especially to Red Wing. Like Red Wing's just a cute town, but like there is like a certain charm to like stand by. New Lunch Duchess right there. We also heard from Lovely Dark. And at the top of that set, Products. All records that came out this year. If you're just tuning in, we're doing a local mixtape of records that came out in 2022. Some bands just formed and released material this year. Some bands have been around a while and released their final record this year. Cat Bath being one of those bands. But hey, members of Cat Bath also are in, other bands like Scrunchies. So we kind of get that out of the deal. But I'm excited to see what we get next year. But I am also excited about what's going on tonight. So before we head out here, today's mixtape was made with Krista Wax, our own host of MSP Sound, who is celebrating 5 years of being on the air tonight at the 7th Street entry. So what would you like listeners to know about before we get signed off here, Krista? Thanks for coming on the show once again, but wanted to make sure we remind people about the show tonight and where can people find you and MSP Sound in the future?
Great. Thanks for having me on the show again, Doc. It's been so much
Absolutely.
fun, as always. And yeah, tonight's show, so excited. It's going to be a great night of hip hop and pop. If you've heard of some of these artists, you know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't, you're in for a real treat. I'm really excited to see Slavon is saying this is going to be a real big performance. And of course, Sam Castillo as well. And everything from Illism and Seymour Perspective actually has something very special planned, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but they have alluded a lot to me, and I'm a lot, but not a lot. So there's some
You'll just have
special.
to find out
I
tonight.
know.
Yeah.
I'm so
Okay.
excited. I'm so excited. So that's going to be fun. And then Philip St. John as well. Just put a new album out this year too. So I'm really excited to see all these artists perform. And I just think it's going to be a great MSP Sound night. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at MSP Sound KFAI. You can find me Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find, actually.
There we go. There we go. Well, if you can't make it tonight, you will also be one of the MCs of Best New Bands at First Avenue next year. So we can talk about the local music of next year as well. So this is kind of difficult because we don't have time to get into the entire mixtape. I will post the entire thing below this video so you can get playlists. We don't have time for Mother Banjo, Keep for Cheap, Lays and Low, or The Violent Nines. But Taylor James Donsky is releasing a single tomorrow. So to play us out, why don't we go with that? And check out MSB Sound's 5-year anniversary party tonight at the 7th Street entry. Krista, thank you so much for coming on the show. Here is What Do You Think of Love by Taylor James Donsky here on Desert Islands. I'm getting the robot going. Like I didn't realize we have a schedule bot now.
Schedule bot.
Yeah, no, there's like okay, so it's like there's like this little thing that pops up and comments on people's shows. Like in 2 minutes, Democracy Now! Starts. It's just like, oh, that's kind of
that's kind new.
I
haven't seen that. Maybe I am
news to me. Responding to some comments.
Got to catch up on your notes or your notes.
Yeah, there's a discussion about Cat Bath. They're like, I don't think they're a band anymore. It's just like they broke up this year. This is kind of, which is a shame because like they are a really solid band that's been solid for a while. Okay, I'm gonna have to fade out Taylor to get the
Fresh Air Community Radio is KFAI FM Minneapolis, St. Paul. Online and archived at kfai.org.
To get that in order. All right, I'm just make sure the robot is actually going to do its job.
The viewpoints expressed in this program are the opinions.
Pretty sure it is, but you never know.
I know.
I'm like I have like 2 more things to do this year. Okay, there we go. And I am kind of just skidding across the finish line in 2022. So I am probably just gonna, now that we got Democracy Now! Here, probably just gonna let you go and get out of here. But have fun tonight. Congratulations. Thank you so much
Thank
for doing
you.
this again, and good to see you. I am going to try my darndest to go to the show tonight if I finish my homework. Metaphorical homework, but I am going to try to make it tonight. But I gotta finish these. It's almost there. It's almost there. I'm almost done.
Whatever it is, good luck.
Yeah.
Would
thank
love
you.
to see you tonight, but I
Yeah,
understand.
I want to go because I have to work the New Year's Eve run, so it'd be nice to actually like see a show instead of just work them. But we will see. I have to eat my vegetables, so to speak. But congratulations! Thank you for doing this once again, and I hope I can see you tonight.
I hope so too. If not, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, have a good day. Stay safe out there. Stay warm.
Yes, you too. Bye.